If you own a med spa or aesthetic practice and you're thinking about running ads, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, it doesn't really matter where it is. You need to watch this video first before you ever launch any of your campaigns. Otherwise, you're going to risk wasting thousands of dollars. So I've personally run ads for dozens of med spas and aesthetic practices across the United States. I've also personally set nearly 1,000 appointments in 2024 for med spas in particular. And so what I did was I compiled a non-negotiable checklist that you must satisfy before you ever even think about running ads, or before you ever even hire an agency or a third party to help you with running ads. So if you care about your ads being successful, there are certain prerequisites that you must have in place. I've compiled these prerequisites by dissecting exactly what makes my most successful clients so profitable with advertising. And I'm not doing myself any favors by posting this video. I'm likely going to scare away potential clients by posting this, because it would be a lot easier for me to sell my services if I just sat here and told you, hey, anybody can run ads and it doesn't matter what your budget is, and I have some secret method that guarantees results 100% of the time, right? But I've heard enough stories from disappointed med spa owners who tried running ads on their own, or they tried working with a marketing agency, only to realize that they didn't have some or all of the prerequisites that I'm going to talk about in this video. And then they went on to lose thousands of dollars at the mercy of Meta and Facebook and Instagram, or at the mercy of their marketing agency. So I'm hoping that whether you decide to work with me, or whether you decide to just work with anyone for that matter, that you can use this video as a guide to determine whether or not you're ready to run ads in the first place. These items that I'm gonna go over in this video are non-negotiable. I won't take on a new client anymore who can't confidently say that they check every single one of these boxes that I'm gonna go over. These items are that important, and I want you to be smart with your marketing budget, so if you see any items on this list that you don't have in place yet, then I would heavily recommend reconsidering running ads, taking a step back and figuring these things out before you launch any campaigns. Now, before we dive into the exact checklist, I want to talk about the fallacy of spending money to solve your problems. We all want exceptional results without having to do hard things, right? It's human nature. Let's say that you decide that you want to lose 10 pounds. It's so easy to buy the gym clothes, get the gym membership, hire the personal trainer, spend hours of your time watching YouTube videos about proper form and how to lose weight and all these different things. In other words, it's super easy to spend lots of time and money to feel like we're making progress towards our goal by doing all those things, but you will never lose the 10 pounds unless you get your ass in the gym and actually just work out every single day, even when it gets boring. Running ads is the exact same. I've observed med spa owners who hire an agency, so they spend money to hire an agency, and then they mentally check out of their business's marketing and sales. So in other words, they hire an agency and then they believe that their marketing and their sales is just outsourced and delegated to the agency. Their job is done. They don't have to do any marketing or sales work whatsoever. Unless you're giving away half of your business to a partner who's going to go 50-50 with you on your business and take care of the marketing and the sales for you, hiring a marketing agency and expecting to make thousands of dollars in a return on investment is the same as watching YouTube videos about how to lose weight and then expecting to lose 10 pounds. It just doesn't work, right? I'm hoping that this video will give you some clarity on the boring daily stuff that you need to be doing for your ads to work, even if you hire outside help. So even if you hire the best marketing agency in the world, I'm hoping that this video gives you some clarity on the things that you should still be doing in the background in order for your ads to be profitable in the first place. So the prerequisites break down into 4 different categories. First, we have some marketing and reputation requirements. Second is we have some sales and in-person consultation requirements. Third is we have operational requirements. And then fourth is we have mindset and commitment requirements. And now before I dive in and explain each one of these, I also just want to note that if I'm going through this and it's making you feel discouraged, this is just, again, these are the items that I believe that you should have in place, or you should be actively working on while you're running your ads in order for them to work and to get you a return on investment and not risk spending thousands of dollars to get no results. So diving right in here, the marketing and reputation requirements. The first thing I would recommend is having at least 50 Google reviews, bare minimum. The more is better, and you should have at least a 4.5 star rating, so 4.5 out of 5 stars on Google. The reason for this is because when someone's looking at your ad on Instagram or Facebook, there is a percentage of people that are going to Google you or look up your business. And if they see that you have, five reviews on Google, or that you have plenty of reviews, but you have like a 3.7 out of 5, for most people, that's enough for them to not submit their information, or to not show up to the appointment, or to become a quote unquote low quality lead, right? So it's really important that when people Google you, you have at least 50 reviews and you have at least a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Same thing with third-party review platforms. So you shouldn't have a single third-party review platform such as Yelp or anything like that that has less than a 4.5 star rating. So even if you have incredible, amazing Google reviews, if somebody Googles your business and then they see that you have a Yelp profile, and on your Yelp profile you have one single review that's a 2 out of 5 stars, that's going to be enough for people. Even if you have incredible Google reviews, for most people, they're going to see that Yelp review and be like, oh, this business is incredible anymore. And they're just going to disregard it. They're not going to sign up for your ads, or they're not going to show up for their appointment. The next thing you need to be doing is you need to have an active social media presence. So I would recommend minimum 2 organic posts per week on Instagram and Facebook. And these aren't just like stock photos that you're posting. These are videos. So they're, before and after transformation videos. They're demos of the treatment. There's videos kind of showcasing your team and their personality. Maybe you can do some trendy stuff or some memes or whatever, right? But you need to have an active social media presence for the same reason as before. When people see your ads on Facebook and Instagram, they're going to click onto your profile. And then if you haven't posted in a long time, or if your posts are just a whole bunch of stock photos, then your credibility is going to drop through the floor. People are just not going to trust you. The next thing you need to have is a professional website. It needs to have clean, modern design. It needs to be mobile friendly. So it needs to be, your website needs to be friendly on a mobile device, and you need to have a clear call to action. Again, this is just one of those credibility things. If you have a super outdated website or your website doesn't look great, then it's going to be difficult to get good results because people just aren't going to trust you. I'd recommend having at least 6 before and after images. These should be real patients, high quality images. You should get multiple angles, all that kind of stuff, especially if you are advertising a specific treatment on one of these platforms like Facebook or Instagram. You need to have clear proof and clear evidence that people can get the result and that you have gotten that result for other people before, right? So I've found that it's very difficult when somebody's like, oh, I just got this brand new device, right? So I just bought this brand new device where we have these massive payments for it every single month, and all we have are the before and after pictures that were provided by the manufacturer or by the device company, right? It's going to be very difficult to market those things because people need to see visually the types of results that they can get. And so it makes much more sense to advertise something where you have lots of before and after pictures rather than trying to make Facebook or Instagram the way that you start to get clients for a brand new device that you just got. The next thing that's very helpful to have is testimonials and video reviews. So video testimonials work best for trust building, but if you don't have video testimonials, then you need to have at the bare minimum some written testimonials specific to the treatment that you're advertising. You need to have a willingness to run low ticket promotions. So I've made lots of videos on this and I'm not going to go super deep on it in this one. But the thing is, when we're advertising to complete strangers on social media, someone who's just scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, the likelihood that a complete stranger is going to opt into your super high ticket treatment right away is very low. And so we need to use something that's irresistible on the front end, such as a low ticket promotion, in order to get somebody interested enough to submit their name, email, and phone number on your ad. And so if you're like, oh, I'm not willing to do anything that's low ticket, I'm not willing to run promotions or special packages or discounts, then I wouldn't recommend running ads, because you're just going to haggle with your agency and you're going to try to get them to increase the price on the offer to a point where it's not going to work, and then it's going to be very discouraging for you. I've had lots of I've been in scenarios with clients before where I recommend an offer that I have proven and I know works, and then they say, oh, that's going to be way too low ticket, I don't understand how the economics behind this work, I don't understand how we're going to be profitable, and then we make the adjustments the way that we want them to, and then we don't get any results. So it's really important that we run low ticket promotions in order to get people interested in the first place, right? And then we'll talk about later how you can actually make money from all of this. You can't have any competing discounts or confusing offers. You need to have consistency across platforms. So I've been in scenarios before where I've been running an offer, or I've been running some kind of promotion for a client, and then they're also simultaneously running another promotion that kind of contradicts the one that we're running. And so it's really important that you have a clear slate, you understand exactly what promotions are going on at what time, and that they don't contradict each other. You should have you shouldn't advertise any obscure or very high ticket treatments on the front end. So I have found that it's very difficult to advertise a treatment that we can't find any successful marketing for. So if there aren't other people that are successfully advertising that thing, then it's going to be very difficult to be the very first person to successfully advertise that thing. Like I've had circumstances where clients want to advertise these obscure treatments that nobody has ever heard of before, or it's like, $1,500 per treatment and it's just super high ticket. And then what happens is we try to advertise those things and nobody responds because people just don't understand what it is. They never heard of it before. And then I would recommend a bare minimum of a $1,000 a month ad budget. So if you want to spend anything less than that, I think you're going to have a very difficult time. And so if you're like, oh, well, let's just start with 500 a month, or let's start with 600 a month, you're going to have a very difficult time getting any results, because in order for Facebook's algorithm to work, you need to give it data. And in order to get data, you need to spend money. And I found that 1,000 a month in most markets is a pretty good starting point. Next is our sales and in-person consultation requirements, or the experience necessary for sales and in-person consultations. So you need to have at least, bare minimum, a 30% closing rate on packages or treatment plans with cold traffic. So what I mean by that, cold traffic is a complete stranger. So that's someone scrolling on Instagram or Facebook that's never heard about your business before, and they're coming in to visit you for the first time. If you can't close at least 30% of those individuals into a package or a treatment plan, then it isn't worth running ads. Or if you're not willing, if you're not closing at 30%, you need to be willing to get coaching, or you need to be willing to be coached on not only how to sell better, but also how to teach your team how to sell better as well. And I've talked to a lot of people, and I brought this idea up, and they're like, oh no, that's no problem. Like, we're good at closing. We close plenty of packages, but then we find out later that the only packages or treatment plans they've ever sold were to previous customers or to referrals. Cold traffic is very different. Cold traffic, selling to people that come in from paid ads, is very different, and it requires more legwork than selling to a past client or selling to a referral. And so if you're not at a point where you're closing at least 30% of the people that come in from a cold traffic source, then you need to be willing to get coached in order to get better at this. You need to have some kind of sales tracking in place. So whether that's a CRM or whether you just have like a simple Google sheet or something where you can track your revenue that you're generating from the ads, and you can also track your close rate. So you can see how many people came in from our ads and how many of those individuals did we close into a treatment plan or a package. You need to have daily team sales practice in place. So in other words, you and your team need to be practicing sales every single day. And this isn't, again, none of these things are negotiable. These are all non-negotiable items that need to be in place in order for you to have success running ads. Because here's the thing. Like I said earlier, we need to be running something that's a low ticket offer in order to get a complete stranger's attention. But that creates an issue because a lot of the times we're not going to be profitable on that low ticket offer. So in order to become profitable when we're running ads, we need to get good at upselling people into a treatment plan or a package. So we get people in the door for something super low ticket, but then we ascend them into a bigger treatment plan or a bigger package. And if you don't have a 30% closing rate, or you don't have sales tracking in place to even know what your closing rate is in the first place, and you're not practicing with your team to get better at sales, you could have the best marketing in place and it will never work, right? You could hire the best marketing agency you could just hire the best marketing agency that costs the most money, and it won't matter if you cannot close, right? If you cannot close packages or treatment plans, then none of it matters. Your pricing structure must be very clear. So you can't have any like wishy-washy pricing that you're kind of just like making up as you go. You need to have specific and clear packages or treatment plans as your upsells when people come in. And you need to have an upsell strategy in place. So your team must know how to transition intro offers, so low ticket offers that we get people in the door, into bigger sales, right? And this is, again, it's a non-negotiable. We are never going to be profitable on the front end offer, and that's not even the goal. Because if you're trying to be profitable on the upfront offer, then you're going to get very frustrated very quickly, because you're going to try to advertise something super expensive on the front end that gets nobody interested. And then you're going to be like, why don't we have any leads? Why isn't this working? It's because your offer is not good, right? In order for people to be interested, in order for complete strangers that are scrolling on social media to be interested, they need to be interested enough in your offer. And in order for your offer to be interesting enough, it needs to be something low ticket that people perceive as a great deal. And then the real money is made when people come in and you say, hey, you know what? I think that, I know you're coming in for this thing, but I actually, we're thinking that this could be a better fit for you. Could we tell you a little more about that after you've run them through a good sales process, which I have plenty of videos talking about that as well. The next thing here is your operational readiness, or your operational requirements. So first off, you need to have proper expectations with your numbers. And so what I mean by that, if I just get back down here, when I say proper expectations with your numbers, what I mean is that you should expect about 15 to 30% of the leads that you generate to book. I've had scenarios with clients before where we generate, let's just say that we generate 100 leads in total, and they're like, okay, we generated 100 leads. Like, why do we only have 30 appointments out of this? And the truth is that most of the time, I saw this stat somewhere, but it's like 70% of people aren't ready to book at the time that they submit their information. And so it's completely reasonable to have somewhere between 15 to 30% of the leads that you generate from your ads to actually book in for an appointment. And so if you have 100 leads, it would be completely unreasonable to think that that would generate you 100 appointments. That's not going to happen. Maybe you can get 100 people to fill out like an application form, or you can get 100 people to fill out a calendar. But if we're talking about people legitimately walking through your doors, it's much more likely to see about 15 to 30% of people that book in an appointment for that. It's also completely reasonable to expect about 80% of your appointments to actually show up. I see people all the time that are like, they just can't stomach the fact that some people don't show up for their appointment. When we are advertising to cold traffic, it is completely normal and reasonable to expect that you will not have a 100% show rate. It is much more reasonable to expect somewhere around an 80% show rate to be your benchmark, to be that number that you shoot for. So that means that 8 out of every 10 people that you book in are going to show up. And that means that 2 out of every 10 people are not going to show up. And you need to understand that that is okay and that is expected, right? The next thing here is that you can increase your show rate with a deposit, but you will also decrease your booking rate. So for example, if you want to have a 100% show rate, that's totally fine, but you're probably going to start booking only, 15% of your leads. And so it is a give or take, but it's important that you just have proper expectations with your numbers. You don't expect to book in 100% of the people that you generate as a lead, and you don't expect 100% of people to show up unless you're taking a deposit, which in that case, you're going to have less people book in the first place. I recommend having at least 5 days per week available for bookings, and you should have weekend availability and same day or next day booking options. So I wanted to do all 3 of these at once because ultimately you need to be available when people are available. And so some people work all throughout the week and they have no energy until the weekend, and so they want to do these types of appointments on the weekend. Also, if you're only, I've had clients before who are like, oh, you can book me in on Fridays and Saturdays only. And then we go and we look and their entire Friday is booked up and their entire Saturday is booked up, and then we can't book any of their leads in for an appointment for like 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line. Well, guess what happens when you wait 2 or 3 or 4 weeks down the line? People become way less interested and they start having all these fears and doubts and insecurities flood their head, and then they don't show up to their appointment. And so whenever possible, you should try to book people in same day or next day, and you should have weekends available, and you should have at least 5 days per week available for bookings. And so, whether you work with an agency that follows up with the leads for you, it doesn't matter. If they go, for example, like when we follow up with our clients' leads, if I go and check your availability and I can't find the next available appointment for a week from now, that's an issue. There needs to be availability today. There needs to be availability tomorrow. And there needs to be availability on the weekend as well. You need to have a professional treatment room. So when people actually show up to your physical location, it shouldn't look like a dump. You should have good quality furniture. You should have good interior decorating, designing, whatever. You need to have your in-person consultation process dialed in. So you also just need to engineer your in-person experience. So when people show up, they fill out an intake form, they promptly get taken for their appointment at the time of their appointment. They go back and they talk to somebody first to do the consultation. During that consultation, you attempt to upsell them into a treatment plan or a package, and then whether or not they end up purchasing, you take the next step. And so you just need to have a clear process in place so that you're not fumbling around and you don't exactly know how your process works. Now, the final and arguably the most important part here is the mindset commitment. So not expecting instant results. Ads require optimization, and initial weeks are just learning periods. So even when you have a proven offer and even when you're doing everything right, especially if you're in a state where maybe you're closing less than 30% of people onto a package or a treatment plan, it's completely reasonable to expect that it's going to take some time for you and your team to get good at closing people on treatment plans and packages. So if you're expecting instant results and an instant ROI, and if you don't see that ROI in the first 30 days, then please do not run ads. It's just not going to be worth your time, and your expectations are just wildly off with how this works. Willing to capture content. So I can't tell you how many times I've run into this situation where we're trying to capture content. So we're trying to get videos or images, and it takes, weeks and weeks in order to actually get those things, or we don't get them at all. And then we end up running subpar ads. It's important that you're willing to take pictures and videos to help the ads performance. So if you're working with a good agency, they should be able to make recommendations to you in terms of like, hey, could we get a video that looks something like this? And then they can edit that video up for you. Take that stuff seriously, right? not micromanaging the ads. So you need to trust the process instead of changing your strategy too soon. I have, I've worked with clients before where we let the ads run for 3 or 4 days and, we like the results, they're looking good. We let them run for another 3 or 4 days. And then it's like, oh my gosh, our cost per lead went up, or like, the leads are a little bit more expensive now. We need to shut the ads down and we need to pivot to a brand new offer. It's like, we need to look at things from a longer time horizon. You really shouldn't be looking at your ads performance any less than like 30 days at a time, right? If you're looking at your ads performance on like a daily or a weekly basis like that, you're constantly going to be driving yourself crazy because there's going to be fluctuations in the numbers and you're just going to drive yourself nuts. And so if you're constantly looking at the ads numbers and you're constantly trying to pivot, or you're suggesting to your agency like, hey, can we pivot now? Like, I think that it's not working anymore. Then you're going to drive yourself nuts, and you're also going to drive your agency nuts as well. You need to understand that some leads aren't going to buy. Not every single lead will convert, and the sales process matters a lot. Like I said before, you should be aiming for a bare minimum 30% of the people that come in to buy a treatment plan or a package. That means that 70% of people do not buy. And that's okay, right? Obviously, we should follow up with those 70% of people, and we should not just like let them go and then never talk to them again. We should reach back out to them, re-engage with them, restart the conversation, make new offers to them. But it's okay, and it's expected for, in that scenario, 70% of people aren't going to buy, right? You can still have incredibly profitable ads by only selling 30% of people into a treatment plan or a package. So if you go into it with this expectation that like, oh, we should give this up, it's not working because the person that came in today didn't purchase something, then you just need to kind of reset your expectations there. And then understanding that profit isn't made on the first offer. If I could just impress any idea on you from this video, it's that profit isn't made on the first offer. It's made on the treatment plan or the package. So I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into a scenario with a client or with somebody who wants to become a client, so a potential client, and we want to run some kind of low ticket offer or a promotion on the front end in order to get people interested, in order to get them booked in for an appointment. And then when they look at the pricing, they're like, wait, I don't understand. I'm losing money on this, or I don't understand. I'm breaking even. I'm not going to make any money on this, right? And the thing is, in order to get people interested enough to come in, we need to run a low ticket offer, like I said earlier. And if we have this expectation that we are going to be profitable on the front end, so in other words, if we put $1,000 into the ads in month 1, and then everyone who books in from that $1,000 is going to purchase something that's worth more than that $1,000, then your expectations are just wildly off, right? The profit is made on the treatment plan sale or the package sale. So in other words, it's made on the second sale, right? So obviously when we get people in, we're getting them in for an introductory offer, but the goal is to upsell them into something bigger. The bigger thing is where your profit is made. And so that's why you need to optimize your team and you need to optimize yourself for getting that 30% of people to purchase the treatment plan or the package in the first place. So I know we went over a lot of stuff here, and this is probably overwhelming. And for some of you, it might be kind of discouraging because you're like, oh, but I don't have 50 reviews yet, or I don't have 6 before and after pictures, or my team isn't closing at 30% yet. And listen, that's okay, but the goal is to get these things in place or to start to work on them so that you can run ads and that you can feel confident that it's going to work. And so I hope that this video was helpful. These are the prerequisites that I would personally want to check off before I ever launch a single ad campaign. And if you don't have these things in place, then you need to start thinking about ways that you can get these things in place first before you go spend a whole lot of money either hiring a marketing agency or trying to run ads yourself. So I hope this video is helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.